Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of University of Education, I Faiza Tariq once again welcome you in the lecture number 26 of Computer Communication and Networks. Dear students, our today's lecture is the continuation of our previous lecture. Students, in the previous lecture, we have started to learn about an internet addressing and a classful IP addressing. Students, in our today's lecture, we have started to learn about setting up a TCP IP network. Students, in order to communicate with each other, all hosts, server and workstations must be using the same network address. Students, within a network address, no two hosts can be using the same host address in a simple IP network. All hosts must use the same subnet mask. Use private range of IP addresses if you do not have an IP address assigned by an internet authority. यहाँ पे क्या बात हो रही है कि किसी भी एक नेटवर्क के अंदर कोई से भी दो होस्ट जो हैं वो सेम होस्ट एड्रेस नहीं यूज कर सकते और लेकिन सब होस्ट जो होंगे they must use the same subnet mask. So what is a subnet mask? We will see after some slides. Students, how many hosts in each IP class can exist? In the previous lecture, we have studied in class A, there are 24 bits for the host. In class B, there are 16 bits for the host. And in class C, there are the 8 bits are for the host. So each class of network allows a fixed number of hosts. So in a class A network, the first octet is assigned, leaving the last three octets, 24 bits, to be assigned to host. So the maximum number of hosts is 2 raised to power 24 minus 2. And why we are doing this, when as I have told you earlier कि अगर हम -2 कर रहे हैं तो उसका ये मतलब है कि द नेटवर्क एंड ब्रॉडकास्ट जो है उनके लिए हमने ज़ीरो और ऑल ज़ीरोस और ऑल वंस जो है वो रिजर्व कर दिए गए हैं और 16 777 होस्ट जो है वो टोटल एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. In a class B network, the first two octets are assigned, leaving the final two octets, 16 bits, to be assigned to host. So the maximum number of hosts is 2 raised to power 16 minus 2, or 65534 hosts will be available. In class C network, the first three octets are assigned, leaving the final octet 8 bits to assign to host. So the maximum number of hosts is 2 raised to power 8 minus 2, or 254 hosts. Students, remember that the first address in each network is reserved for the actual network address or network number, and the final address in each network is reserved for the broadcast. And I have told you this in the previous lecture as well, that in every class the first and last addresses will be reserved that we cannot use. The first address is a network address and the last one is for the broadcast address. How can we specify address to the network connection? Machines that have two or more physical connections are called multi-homed hosts and require multiple internet addresses, that is net ID or host number. For example, a gateway connection to n distinct network will have how many distinct addresses are required. So n distinct addresses, one for each network connection will be required. Here you can see that 123.0.0.0, this is the network address of this local area network. This is the network address of this local area network, and 141.14.0.0 is the network address for this local area network. Students, you can see that जहाँ पे network address को जब हम define करेंगे तो हम host की सारी जो bits हैं उनको हम 00 कर देंगे और there are some addresses which are belongs to these क्लासेस लाइक ये क्लास ए है और इसका कोई सा एक जो है वो आईपी एड्रेस यहाँ पे इस वायर के साथ जो है वो अटैच कर दिया गया है. सो एवरी कनेक्शन थ्रू विच हम पास करना है हमें, उसके लिए हमें एक जो है नेटवर्क एड्रेस सॉरी आईपी एड्रेस जो है वो रिक्वायर्ड होगा. Students, here you can see another network. They ये जो red वाले हैं सारे, they are the network addresses और remaining जो है वो इनके addresses हैं जो उस क्लास से बिलोंग करते हैं जिस लोकल एरिया नेटवर्क के ये जो है वो नेटवर्क एड्रेस है. 220.3.6.0 it belongs to class C. 129.8.0.0 it belongs to class B. 222.13.16.0 is belongs to class C. 124 this belongs to class A. 134 it belongs to class B, and it belongs to class C. You can see it is a network in which the red wale jo addresses hai, they are called the network addresses, and the rest of the addresses are belongs to these addresses, network addresses. Here you can see just a reminder message. In the class A, range is from 0 to 127. Class B range is 128.0 to 191.255. That is for the net ID. We are using range is 128 to 191. Class C range is 192 to 223. Class D is 224 to 239. And the Class E is 240 to 255. We have already discussed this slide in our previous lecture. Students, what is meant by a network and a broadcast address? By convention, the network address has host ID with all bits 0. Network address, let's suppose कि अगर हमारे पास जो है वो किसी क्लास ए का नेटवर्क एड्रेस जो है वो 133.129.5.6 ये एक आईपी एड्रेस हमारे पास क्लास 6 का है. हाउ कैन वी मेक इट और हाउ कैन वी आइडेंटिफाई द नेटवर्क एड्रेस ऑफ दिस आईपी एड्रेस? स्टूडेंट, जब नेटवर्क एड्रेस आइडेंटिफाई करना होता है तो जो नेट की बिट्स हैं वो हम सेम रहने देते हैं, लेकिन जो होस्ट की बिट्स हैं उनको हम जो है वो ज़ीरो बना देते हैं. सो बाय कन्वेंशन द नेटवर्क एड्रेस हैज़ होस्ट आईडी विथ ऑल बिट्स 0. By convention, the broadcast address has host ID with all bits 1. अब अगर इसका हमने broadcast address identify करना होगा तो 123.0.0.0 is a network address. अब यहाँ पे हमारे पास जो host की bits हैं उनको हम क्या कर देंगे, ऑल वंस कर देंगे, और जब उसका हमने डेसिमल नोटेशन लिखनी होगी तो वो कहलाएगा 123.255.255.255. यानी कि हम सारे होस्ट की सारी बिट्स को ऑल वंस या 255 कर देंगे. सो बाय कन्वेंशन द ब्रॉडकास्ट एड्रेस हैज होस्ट आईडी विद ऑल बिट्स 1. If a machine receives a packet with net ID 0, it means that the packet is from this network. It is helpful when machine want to communicate and unaware of network IDs. Here you can see that this is a class A. The network address is 123.0.0.0. They are the different IP addresses which belongs to this network address, and you know that a net ID is specific and the host IDs will be all zeros in the network address. It belongs to class C, in which 3 octets are of the net ID and host का जो host की जो bit थी उसको हमने 0 कर दिया. It belongs to class B. इसका network address है 141.14.00, and these are the IP addresses which belongs to this network address. Here you can see for the broadcast address, what will we do? Net ID will be the specific which is given and host IDs will be all ones. Students, you can see over here what is the destination IP address, that is 221 plus 45 plus 75, and this is a network address. ये वाला आपके पास जो है वो network address है, एंड दिस इज अ ब्रॉडकास्ट एड्रेस जिसमें होस्ट आईडी को हमने 0 को क्या कर दिया, यहाँ पे 255 कर दिया. सो दिस इज अ ब्रॉडकास्ट एड्रेस. द डायरेक्ट ब्रॉडकास्ट एड्रेस इज यूज्ड बाय अ राउटर टू सेंड अ मैसेज टू every host on local area network. Every host or router receives and processes the packet with a direct broadcast address. Here you can see that the another destination IP address you can see over here कि जो destination IP address है उसमें आप देखें कि host की जो है वो bit as it is रहने दी है और network की bits जो है वो 0 कर दी हैं. Students, you can see over here that this address is used by a router or host to send a message to a specific host on the same network. So इसके लिए हमने इसको 000 और 64 कर दिया. This belongs to class C. The network address is 221.45.71.0, and these are the addresses which is belong to this network address. So destination IP address is 000.64. Broadcast addresses are used in some situation where you do not know who to talk to. For example, suppose you need to look up a host name and gets its internet address. What you will do? Sometimes you don't know the address of the nearest name server. So in that case, you might send the request as a broadcast. आप broadcast कर देंगे उस तरह की situation में जब आपको ये नहीं पता कि एड्रेस तो आपका जो नियरेस्ट सर्वर है उसका एड्रेस क्या है. Therefore, there are also cases where a number of systems are interested in information. So it is then less expensive to send a single broadcast than to send datagram individually to each host that is interested in the information. So in order to send a broadcast, you use an address that is made by using your network address with all ones in the part of the address where the host number goes. For example, if you are on network that is 128.6.4, you would use 128.6.4.255 for the broadcast address. Students, if you use an Ethernet address with all its bits on all ones, every machine on the Ethernet is supposed to talk at the datagram. Is supposed to look at the datagram. So for convenience, the standard also allow 255.255.255.255 to be used. This refers to all hosts on the local network. It is often simpler to use 255.255 instead of finding out the network number for the local network and forming a broadcast address such as 128.6.4.255. Students, what is meant by a multicast address? Class C addresses are multicast, which is ranged from 224.0.0.0 to 239.255.255.255. Multicasting is sending a stream of data. Usually हम ऑडियो के लिए और वीडियो के लिए जो है वो मल्टीकास्ट एड्रेसेस यूज करते हैं और दैट इसमें जो आपका जो है वो क्लास जो है बिट्स हैं दैट आर 1 1 1 and 0 and it belongs to class D and remaining part is for the multicast address. So many routers forward multicasts and computers configured to receive the multicast information accept the packets and can receive the data stream. Class D addresses have been set aside. They are for the multicast protocol, so it is still a live issue. Normal TCP/IP transmissions are the unicast, whether delivered from one point to single destination or broadcast to all node. But the multicasting transmits same set of data to the multiple hosts but not all possible hosts. So hosts that are member of multicast group receive the data sent to the group's multicast system. So group members may be receiving video or audio transmission. So multicasting is the less costly than the broadcasting for the hosts that do not need to respond, and the broadcasting may take more bandwidth. Students, what is meant by a subnet mask? Subnet mask क्या होता है? 32-bit number जो आपके पास है made for contiguous ones followed by the contiguous zeros. This concept doesn't apply to class D and E. All ones represents net ID and all zeros represents host ID. The mask can help to find net and host ID. The subnet mask is used to subdivide an IP network into the subnets. So the default subnet mask for the class A is 255.0.0.0. अब यहाँ पे क्या होगा सबनेट मास्क के अंदर कि जो हमारे पास नेटवर्क एड्रेस है, नेटवर्क एड्रेस की जो नेटवर्क की जैसे लेट सपोज वी कैन से कि जो बिट्स हैं उसको हमने चेंज नहीं करना. दैट्स वाई उसको हमने मास्क करना है विद द 255.0.0.0 फॉर द क्लास ए. किसी भी नंबर को जब हम जो है वो एंड करते हैं वन के साथ और करते हैं वन के साथ, तो हमारे पास वो नंबर ही आ जाता है जो एक्चुअली में एग्जिस्ट कर रहा होता है. सो ऑल द डिफॉल्ट सबनेट मास्क डज नॉट क्रिएट सबनेट्स. देयरफॉर अ क्लास ए network with the default subnet mask is one network. Here you can see in binary the default subnet mask for the class A जो network की bits जहाँ पे होती हैं net ID के सारे ones कर देने हैं और host के सारे zero कर देने हैं. So in dotted decimal notation आपके पास जो है वो 255 all ones means 255,000. B में net ID की first 2 bytes हैं वो आपने 1 कर देनी है, remaining will be 0. And here you can see 255.255.0.0. यहाँ पे आपके पास जो है वो नेट आईडी की 8 बिट्स थी, यहाँ पे नेट आईडी की 16 बिट्स हैं और यहाँ पे 24 बिट्स हैं. जितनी बिट्स आपके पास एग्जिस्ट करती हैं आपने उनको वंस बना देना है, ठीक है. सो दे आर कॉल्ड द default subnet mask. In dotted decimal notation, 255.0.0.0 is for class A, 255.255.0.0 is for the class B, and 255.255.255.0 is for the class C. Students, an IP address is a 32-bit address. The IP addresses are unique and the universal. And what is the you can see on the screen that there is a dotted decimal notation and there is a binary notation as well. Again I am telling you the trick that you have to how can you calculate 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 एंड 128. जहां जहां पे 1 होंगे हम उनके ऊपर जो हमने लिखा है 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 वो हम ऐड कर लेंगे. अब जब हम ऐड करेंगे तो उसका आंसर जो है वो 31 आएगा. सो दिस इज द बाइनरी नोटेशन एंड दिस इज द इक्विवेलेंट डॉटेड डेसिमल नोटेशन. Now we will solve some examples in which we have to change an IP address from binary notation to the dotted decimal notation. Students, they are the binary notation and we have to convert these binary notations to the dotted decimal notation. How can we change? There are two methods. In the first method, that is 1, 0. In the first method, what you will do that you can multiply all these numbers with the power of 2's, like for the first one you can say that 1 multiplied by 2 plus 1 multiplied by sorry, this one is a 0. 0 multiplied by 2 plus 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 1 multiplied by 2. First one power right to left, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have skipped the 1 0 that I will put over here. 6 and 1 multiplied by 2 power 7. So we will the answer will be in the decimal. And other method that I have told you earlier, that 1 is the shortest method, 1 or 1 2, 2 or 2 4, 4 or 4 8, 8 or 8 16, 16 or 16 that is 32, 32 and 32 that is 64, and 64 and 64 that is a 128. Students, here what we will do, जहाँ जहाँ पे ones हैं उनको उनकी उनकी जो powers हैं वो हम add कर लेंगे. This is 128 and this is 1 and this is a 129. You can see over here. So we replace each 8 bits with its equivalent decimal number and add dots for the separation. Just like this, 1, 2, 4 and 6. 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see 1, 2, 4 and 8. 8 or 2, 10, 10 or 1, 11. You can see over here again 1, 2, 4, 8. 8 to 10 and 1 is 11. Here 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 skip कर देंगे, 32, 64 एंड 128. जहां जहां पे आपके पास वंस हैं उनके ऊपर जो पावर्स हैं वो हम ऐड करेंगे. सो इट इज इक्वल टू 239. जस्ट लाइक दिस सेकेंड वाला क्वेश्चन भी आप सॉल्व कर लेंगे. डू इट राइट नाउ. टेक आउट योर रजिस्टर्स और टेक आउट एनी पीस ऑफ पेपर एंड पेन and you will solve this question as well. Students, you can solve by this method as well कि आप हर नंबर को मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे 2 के साथ और फ्रॉम द राइट टू द लेफ्ट आप क्या करेंगे कि आप उसकी पावर्स डालते जाएंगे 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 तक. और दूसरा तरीका ये है कि आप जो आपके पास बाइनरी डिजिट है उसके ऊपर आप उसकी पावर्स डाल देंगे. एक्चुअली होता ये भी यहाँ पे भी जो आपके पास 4 नंबर्स हैं यहाँ पे भी वही बात हो रही है कि 2 की पावर 0, दिस इज 2 की पावर 1, दिस इज 2 की पावर 2 एंड सो ऑन 2 रेज़ टू पावर 7. ये वही चीज़ ही है, लेकिन इसका शॉर्टेस्ट मेथड जो है लर्न करने का 1 और 1 2, 2 और 2 4, 4 and 4 8, 8 and 8 16, 16 and 16 32, 32 and 32 64 and that is 128. I guess I have skipped. मैंने यहाँ पे एक फालतू x लगा दिया. Students, so I am sure that you are able to convert the binary IP address to the dotted decimal notation. In the next question, we should have to change the following IP address from dotted decimal notation to binary notation. Students, इसके लिए एक method तो ये है कि हम 111 को जो है वो 2 के साथ जो है वो divide करेंगे. 2 5s are 10 and 2 5s are 10. 1 जो है वो हमारे पास remainder आ गया. इसको मैं थोड़ा neat करके करती हूँ so that we can solve the question easily. Here we can solve 1 1. इसका एक तरीका है कि आप इसका सेम ले लें. 2 5s are 10 and 2 5s are 10. एक आपके पास रिमाइंडर आ गया. हम डिवीजन कर रहे हैं 2 के साथ इसकी. 2 4 2 2s are 4, 2 2s are 4, 2 7s are 14 and 1. 2 ones are 2, 2 threes are 6 and 1. 2 6 are 12, 1. 2 threes are 6 and 0. 2 ones are 1 and 1. Now क्या अब हमने क्या करना है? हमने इसके जो रिमाइंडर्स हैं उनको ऐड इकट्ठा कर देना है. This is 1 1 0 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Now you will see count the number of bits. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 total 8 bits होती हैं. तो यहाँ पे हम padding कर देंगे 1 0 की. So this is, you can see over here, then this is equivalent to this 0 1 1 0 1 1 1 1. Students, there is another method that is the shortest method, and I will tell you that method as well. You can see over here, there is a 1 2 4 8 16 32 64 and 128. अब हमने करना क्या है? This is number is 111. Right here 128 11 से बड़ा है, हमने इसको 0 कर दिया. 64 को मैं ऑन कर देती हूँ. ठीक है. Now what you will do, you will you will subtract 111 from the 64. अब हमारे पास 47 आए. 47 के लिए हमने 132 वाले 1 को भी ऑन कर दिया. Now we will subtract 32 from the 47. अब हमारे पास पीछे 15 रह गया रिमाइंडर. 16 15 से बड़ा है, इसलिए हमने इसको 0 कर लिया. अब हमने 8 को 1 कर दिया. अब 15 में से मैंने 8 को माइनस कर दिया. ठीक है. तो मेरे पास 7 आ गया. 7 के लिए मैंने 4 को भी जो है वो ऑन कर दिया. 3 रह गया. 3 के लिए मैंने 2 को भी ऑन कर दिया और 1 को भी ऑन कर दिया. So you can see that this is 0 1 1 0 1 1 1. This is the shortest method in the exam. I know you don't have enough time कि आप इसको डिवीजन के साथ करें. So आप इसको डायरेक्टली इस मेथड के साथ भी कर सकते हैं. And you can see कि इसके बाद 56 के लिए आप ऐसे ही करेंगे. तो उस नंबर से छोटा या उसके इक्विवेलेंट को 1 करते जाएं, उसके बाद उसको माइनस करते जाएं, और जैसे जैसे आप माइनस करते जाएंगे आपका जो वो पूरा नंबर जो है वो कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. Students, the next question is we have to find the class of each address. As I have already told you earlier कि classes को identify करने के लिए सिर्फ हमारे पास जो लेफ्ट मोस्ट लास्ट वाली बाइट्स होती हैं, लास्ट वाला ऑक्टेट होता है, सिर्फ वो इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. द अगेन जस्ट रिमाइंड वो जो फ्लो चार्ट था कि इफ द फर्स्ट बिट इज 0, it belongs to class A. The first bit is 0. This is a class A address. You can see over here. Next one. Check the first bit. If it is a 0, no, it is not 0. It is 1. Now check the next bit. It is again 1. Now check the next bit. It is again 1. Now check the next bit. It is again 1. So there are 4 ones. So the 4 bits are 1. So this is a class E address. इसी तरह अगर 1 0 होता इनिशियली तो 1 0 1 1 1 1 1 1. So what is the class of this binary notation? It belongs to class B. First is 1, so check the next one. Next is 0, then it belongs to B. Students, अगर यहाँ पे 1 होता दोबारा और फिर 0 होता, then it belongs to class C. Find the class of the each address. 227.12.14.87. The first byte is 227. Again यहाँ पे भी हम जो first byte है उसको check करते हैं और हम देखते हैं कि वो किस रेंज के दरमियान में है. दैट्स व्हाई आई हैव ऑलरेडी रिमाइंड यू मैनी टाइम कि आप लोगों ने जो है वो क्या करना है, आप लोगों ने रेंजेस को लर्न कर लेना है. सो 227 कम्स बिटवीन 224 and 239. So it is the range of class D. So this IP address is belong to class D. Next one is 252. It is ranges between 240 to 255, so it belongs to class E. Next is the 131, sorry, 134. It comes between 128 to 100 range, 191. So it belongs to class B. So students, we don't need to worry about the classes. We just have to check the last byte or the last octet for identifying the class of the given address. Students, it was all about our today's lecture. Let's conclude what we have studied. In today's lecture, we have studied what is the multicast address, what is the broadcast address, what is the network address, and what are the default subnet masks. Students, after that, we have learned how to convert the dotted decimal notation to the binary notation and how to convert the binary notation to the decimal notation. Please revise all the lecture, previous lecture and today's lecture so that you can understand the next lecture. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.